It's the Mike Knight Show. 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 It's the Mike Knight Show.
Why is adoption so important to you? What movie do you think you're going to be in next? So when you read that article about your son, how did that make you feel? It's the Mike Knight Show. And hello. Welcome to another good show of the Mike Nice Talk of the Talk show. I'm excited. We have a great show for you today. This show is brought to you live here in the studios of Citizens Television right here in the beautiful city of New Haven, Connecticut. My first guest is live with us over the phone from California. He is a father. He is a speaker. He is an activist. He is the longest served bailiff on court TV in history. You may see him side by side with the notorious and sometimes toughness of Judge Judy. Today I have the one and only Mr. Petri Hawkins-Byrd. Thank you for taking your time and joining me today on the Mike Nice Talk to the Talk show. How are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Good. Mr. Byrd and I, we were just talking briefly before the show was on, and we were talking about movies, and I know you were talking about you just see Ocean 8 and The Avengers and Deadpool. That's great because I'm a movie buff. I love to go to the movies. I love going to the movie theater and just watching it on big screen. There's something about it that captivates me, eating the popcorn with different people, seeing what other people are seeing. So I'm glad that you love to go to the movies. And I know you said you went to the movies with your daughter, which is great. So that's awesome. That's good.
Oh, yeah.
And go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I've been a cinephile for years, and in fact, old movies are my, that's something that I really excel in regards to my taste buds. I love old classics, and so TCM, Turner Classic Movies, is one of the channels that I've long been enamored with.
Right.
So I'm always comparing today's movies against yesterday's movies. And my fiance and my daughter are always looking at me like, oh my God,
Yep.
What's the big deal about those old movies? And I go, are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
That's like asking me about old music.
Right. No, old movies, old music, they're classics, and they keep the generation up on their feet, I think. So
all right. Yeah, you don't get to be a classic just by being old. You get to be a classic by being good and withstanding the test of time.
Absolutely. Well, it's an honor. Thank you so much for taking a brief moment of your time and speaking to me and my viewers on the Mike Nice Talk to Talk. Along with me, I have so many viewers who watch my show who are a huge fan of the show. So let me just start by asking you this. If you did not write that congratulation letter to her when she first got started in the early 90s, what path do you think you'll be on if you did not write that letter?
Wow. Well, I was working for the school system at the time. I was working as counselor at a high school at the time. And I was looking forward to going back to school and working on master's, and possibly becoming a full-time teacher. And so that's probably the path that I would wound up taking. I love working with kids. I love having that relationship with them and being able to affect their lives. And there aren't enough male teachers out there anyway, and especially not enough black male teachers. And so that's the path that I probably would have taken if it hadn't been for that fateful day reading about her in Liz Smith's gossip column and deciding to write her a letter to congratulate her, and subsequently hearing from her her appreciation for the letter, and also her looking towards the joke that I made at the end of the letter and taking that seriously. And the joke was, hey, if you ever need a bailiff, I still look good in uniform.
Yes,
and,
yep.
she called back and said, hey, you were kidding, but we do need a bailiff, and you're already out in California, so what would you think about trying your hand at doing this court thing on TV? I'm like, sure, why not?
Right. Were you surprised when she did reach back to you?
I was surprised that she did reach out, because my intention was just to send a letter and to congratulate her, and that was it. Right. I didn't expect a response, and so but in typical Judith Scheinlin fashion, she did reach out and show her appreciation for my congratulations towards her, and so that is I've come to find out over the years, after knowing her for over 30 years, mm-hmm. that this is typical as opposed to atypical of her behavior.
Right. Now, for the common people, for the common person out there, the average person like me, who sometimes don't know what goes on during the commercial breaks or even behind the scenes, what does go on? What's some of the things that maybe the average folk may not know what goes on or goes into making a show like Judge Judy?
Well, we kind of do our show differently than a lot of other shows. I've been to a lot of other sets for different shows, and I've been to most of believe it or not, most of the court shows. Mm-hmm. Especially, at least the ones that film in Hollywood where we film. I've been to most of their sets. Just kind of invited myself to their sets. The Divorce Court, Judge Mathis, Judge Faith. So I've been to their courtrooms and to their stages, and they have a tendency to do about six to 8 cases in a day, and they block off about an hour for each case. We, on the other hand, do ours a lot different. Mm-hmm. We do ours in real time. So if the average person sees Judge Judy do a case and it takes 3 minutes, believe it or not, it probably didn't take more than 5 minutes to make, because she's rapid fire. Right. She doesn't step off the bench to make a decision, or I'm going back in my chambers and mull this over and I'll be right back. She shoots from the hip. Right. And so, generally speaking, what people see is what they get. In between cases, we usually take between 10 to 15 minutes just to get the litigants situated out there, so that they can do the walk down and everything, and I can call a new case. Right. In between, we just kind of hang around, hobnob for a minute. The judge usually goes back into her dressing room, where she is an avid card player. Oh, wow! So maybe that's the one thing that people don't know about her, and she's very good at playing cards. Right. And so that's what she does. She kind of spends her time whipping people in her dressing room, playing cards.
So she gives justice in playing cards too. Wow.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She definitely deals out some justice. Yeah. I have to play because I value my little ego. So.
Yes. Oh yes. Guys in our ego, we can't, only so much we can, take.
That's right.
Has there ever been a situation that maybe scared you or something you couldn't handle? Or you're like, wow, what did I get myself into? Out of the years you have been on that show, has there been a situation where you're like, oh my gosh, like, what did I get myself into? Or this plaintiff or this prosecutor is acting up?
As a general rule, we have security on our set. We've had a couple of situations in the past 22 years where people went off afterwards, and they usually wait until they're out of earshot of the audience. They usually, I mean, don't get me wrong. We've had people get very, very, very upset,
Right.
but as a general rule, I'm generally a calming influence, where she's heat, I'm pretty cool,
Okay.
and so whenever something looks like it's getting ready to go down, I try to place myself in a position to be near the person that seems the most upset, that seems to have the most to lose, and I kind of get in their ear. And my whole thing is, if I were you, I would calm down.
Right.
This is not going to turn the tide on the decision. And a lot of times I just throw it back at the judge. I go, hey, listen, the source of your anger, if you will, has already gone into her dressing room, and she's on to the next case. So
Right.
the best thing you can do right now, man, is just calm down and kind of go on home and lick your wounds.
Yes. Now, what's a typical day like for you? Take my viewers and I on a typical day of Mr. Byrd.
A typical work day for me, starts at about 8:30. I get in, I get into uniform. We have a guy who mics me, puts the mic on me and makes sure all of that's working. Then I actually have this. I'm almost embarrassed by this. For the past 22 years, I've had this wonderful makeup girl
Yep.
who comes in and tries to, as she always says, she tries to improve on perfection. I'm like, yeah, right, okay. You're supposed to keep me looking like I did 15 years ago. That's your job.
Right.
But Christine comes in and she does the little makeup thing, and we sit and we usually have a little chat. And then we start our day, and we usually have anywhere between 10 to 12 cases a day that we do. We will do say 7 or 8 cases in the morning,
Right.
And break for lunch about 1 o'clock, and then we'll have lunch for about an hour, and then come back, and we usually have 3 or 4 cases for the afternoon session, and she usually whips through those, and I'd say about 3 o'clock, 3:30, we're out, man.
Oh, wow.
We're like Fred Flintstone, man. We're sliding down the dinosaur, man.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
We out trying to beat the LA traffic.
Right. Oh, and that's great, because then you have the whole day to spend with your family and do what you have to do as well. So that's not too bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to the movies.
That's right. And get things together. Make sure to catch a matinee.
Right.
Get those 60-year-old prices that I'm entitled to now.
So I want to segue into a little bit more serious discussion that America has been having throughout the years. I mean, especially the past 2 to 3 years. And since you are officer of the court, I want to talk about some of the police brutality that's taking place in America, and not just with young black men or young black women, but with all kinds of people, white, Asian. I mean, police brutality. I know a lot of targets are black Americans, but to tell you the truth, it still doesn't discriminate. We still have a lot of people who are victims of police brutality. And I wanted to talk about, because you are a smart officer of the court, and you have wisdom. You've been around long enough. What do you see, or what do you think is going to happen in the near future with all this police brutality? Where do you think this is going? Do you see do you see a light at the end of the tunnel?
Well,
Be honest.
I see a light at the tunnel. I'm just not sure whether it's daylight or a train.
Oh, okay. Right.
But I'll say this, man. I've been a black man longer than I've been an officer, and in fact, let me kind of dispel some misgivings about who I am nowadays.
Yes.
For the past 22 seasons that we've been doing Judge Judy, I have not been in law enforcement. I've portrayed an officer on TV. What I bring to the Judge Judy show is the same thing sort of the judge brings. She's a former judge, a retired judge, and I, on the other hand, am a former bailiff. So, like I said, just before I got the job doing Judge Judy, I was a counselor at a high school, and so my take on the police brutality that people have faced, and especially black people, and in particular black men, but black people in general. It comes from the point of view as a black man and as a father of four. I remember one day recently, well, actually it was a couple of years ago, we were getting ready to go to New York to celebrate my mother's birthday, and I remember my boys coming to me, and at that time, I think that the situation with Eric Garner had just happened, and my boys were like, Dad, kind of nervous about going to New York, what if we're just hanging out and the police roll up on us like that? And I remember, man, that I actually teared up, and really choked up, because I was like, why do I have to warn my boys about, and New York being my hometown, Brooklyn being my hometown. I'm like, why do I have to warn them about how they should conduct themselves in my hometown?
Right.
And I was like, do white men warn their children, hey, you're going to Brooklyn now. Be careful, because if you're walking down the street and the police don't like the way you happen to walk by them, or they tell you to stop or whatever, they're not going to put up with any belligerence or any nonsense from you. They're not going to put up with you talking about you have your rights and all of this. So what you need to do is you need to acquiesce to their demands, or do exactly what they say and live to fight another day. And I was like, I said, my God, that sounds like what my grandfather, would have warned my father in Georgia back in the 1950s.
Right.
You mean to tell me that the times are so bad, that things have changed that little in this country?
Right.
And so I'm, as a black man, I'm dismayed at the attitudes of some officers, and let me say this also. That attitude is not an attitude that comes from hate. That's an attitude that comes from fear. When you're in a uniform and you're walking out there in the street, okay, you're the one walking with the bullseye on your back. They know who you are, but you don't know who everybody else is. So everybody else is the suspect. And that's pretty much the way you're trained, that everybody else is a suspect. If that suspect doesn't do anything, well, good, you had a good day. And if that person moves the wrong way, then they go from being a suspect to a possible perpetrator to a possible threat, Right. And when you have to walk like that, circumspect to that type of attitude day after day after day, it wears on you, and it causes trepidation in your heart, and it causes apprehension in your mind and in your heart. And so those officers need to, as far as I'm concerned, they need to be checked on a regular basis. There need to be psychological and emotional checkups. They need to be transferred possibly to neighborhoods that they understand and that they're familiar with. And I think it'd be more beneficial in the long run for the people who patrol our neighborhoods to look like us.
Let me and I agree with everything you said. I can't agree anymore. Let me ask you this though, and I've been saying this throughout my show. over the past few years, and with my friends and my closest family members. Do you think police officers need a harsher consequences? Like, for instance, let's just say we implemented a rule or a law that if a police officer kills an unarmed person, then let's say they would automatically get life in prison. Do you think that would change the mindset of police officers, or not really?
I think that that's a hard one, because I think that given certain circumstances, you know, if after an extensive investigation, it is determined that that officer had some provocation to use deadly force, okay, then you kind of go by that, you
Right.
know. But that officer at a minimum should go through a hearing, to go through a trial, a jury of his peers, just like in the reverse. If a criminal killed an officer,
Right.
you're
Right.
going to bring him before a jury of his peers, and you're going to have a trial, and you're going to have an investigation, and you're going to determine whether or not this is the circumstances warranted the type of reaction that person had,
Right.
you know, to perpetrate that kind of violence upon somebody else. You know, well, I think that officers should be held to the same standard. You know, you're putting on that uniform and wearing that badge is not a license to kill. You know, for God's sakes, this isn't 007 James Bond, you know, where,
Right.
well, we'll just sanction whatever you do because we trust your judgment.
Right.
You know, every case is individual, you know, but I believe that our communities have a right to ask that officer involved in that shooting, and especially if it's a shooting of someone who is unarmed, okay, I believe that the community has a right to demand, and should demand, that there be a fair trial and that there be an independent investigation of that officer, and that whatever it is that officer has coming to him, okay, you know, determining the outcome of the investigation and the trial, that he pay that penance, you know.
Absolutely.
Now, whether or not that's life imprisonment, or whether that's I don't know, the death penalty.
Right.
You know, I can't speak to that, but I think that the officer is held to the same standard as any other person. And maybe even more so, because you're sworn to serve and protect
Right.
community.
Right.
You know, so.
So I'm gonna move a little bit along, because every time I just want to get your touch on it. I don't want to get too fired up, because I get too fired up when I do talk about it. But I definitely wanted to get your take.
I understand.
Yep, I want to get your take into it. So you've been on the show for what, 22, 23 years now, right? The show has been on the air for 22, 23 years now, 24, around there, right?
Yeah, 22 years and counting. Right now, we are in the midst of in May we started filming season 23.
Oh my God! So you guys make a great team. I call you guys salt and pepper. Judge Judy, you guys really do make a good team. Judge Judy, I heard this by like reading online and stuff about her. She really is a down-to-earth woman. She really is, a cool a person. And a lot of people are always caught up people's jobs. What they do is who they are, which is not true. And I think she's really cool. I don't know. Do you think she'll be down to come on the show as well, do an over-the-phone interview like you? You think she will do that? Can you put a good word in for me?
I'll put in a good word for you, man. I can no more speak for her than I can speak for anybody else. But
Yeah.
I can tell her the great experience I've had so far with being interviewed by you. So we'll see if we can't get that done.
Yeah, thank you. So at the end of the day, what do you want people to know you as? What do you want your legacy to be? I
want to. I was talking to my my kids this past weekend. I have 4 adult children, and I was speaking with them this past weekend about that very thing. I guess with Father's Day coming up,
Right.
I just want to be known as a guy who made a difference. I involve myself in community activities. I'm the national chairperson for a program called the OK Program, which is a black male mentoring program that is 28 years old this year. And besides being on the board, whenever they call me to come and MC one of the fundraisers or come down and talk to the boys, and I always try to avail myself of that because I want to be able to make a difference. And if there's any legacy that I would want left behind, and I would want people to think when they think of me, is that he was down.
Nice.
He was down. Yeah.
Nice. Mr. Byrd, I want to thank you. It's been an honor for taking your time and speaking to me and my viewers on the Mike Nice Talking the Talk Show. Congratulations on this past May, your 23 season and counting. Tell Judge Judy as well, congratulations. You guys, like I said, make a great team. Happy early Father's Day. And hopefully, I've never been to California, so maybe when I go to California, we could catch up and go to see a movie, because I love going to the movies, so I really would love that.
Most def, man. Listen, you come out here, man. I would love to have you come to the show and meet the judge. And by all means, man, we can go and kick it at a good movie, man.
Nice.
I would love that, because they tell me that Mike is nice.
Yes.
And we know what that means. We
Yes.
know what that means in our neighborhood when you say, yo, that brother's nice. When you had a ball player and you're like, yo, man, that kid is nice.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. And best of luck to you, and I hope to meet up with you in the near future. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely, Mike.
Have a good one.
Easy, man.
Yep. Peace. So for all my viewers who just tune in, unfortunately, you just missed a great interview with Mr. Petri Hawkins-Byrd. He is the bailiff of the Judge Judy show, which is notorious in this country. Everybody watches the Judge Judy show. My mom watches the Judge Judy show. So it's a pretty cool show. And like he just said, in May, they went on their 23rd year and still counting, still going. And he shared a little bit about himself to my viewers. So thank you again. And hopefully, you never know. Who knows? Maybe next time I'll have Judge Judy on the Mike Nice Talk to the Talk show. So thank you. So now the second half of the show is really interesting because my second guest I had was a victim of racial profiling at Yale University in early May that made national news. She was in the common area. She was writing or studying for her finals. And we all know the true students out there who really study for finals, it takes hours and it's frustrating. Now me, when I was in college, I would sometimes slack and not study as much. So I didn't, face me going to sleep because I was so tired of studying. But this young lady, she was studying for weeks, and this particular day she was studying for hours, and she was in a common area. And I guess one of the students in the dorm called the cops on her. She's a young African-American woman, and she's a grad student, and it made national news in May, and she filmed it on her phone. So we're gonna just play and share with you just a 2-minute glimpse of it, and want to get your reaction on it. So here's a 2-minute of the video that was posted in May of this Yale graduate student, and the cops were called because she was in a common area sleeping, I believe. Check.
I have every right to call the police. You cannot sleep in that room. Continue. Get my good side. This is my good side. I'm gonna start another video when the cops get here. Hopefully they do come.
What are you doing now?
I have absolute right to document what's going on. I'm not taking your picture. This is Facebook Live.
Here's what we're gonna do. That's fine.
I need to go back to the 12th floor to finish writing my paper.
What's you got your ID on you?
Yeah, I do.
All right, can we see that?
Why?
Because we got a police call for you.
And we need to make
Okay, let me open my apartment for you so that you can see that I belong here. I don't think there's a need for you to be here. I think you probably need to commit her to an institution. That's the only use you have for being here.
Once we verify that you're a resident here, then we'll be on our way.
Okay, great. I need to get back to the 12th floor. I gotta write my paper.
We just have your ID, ma'am?
Why?
I just explained to you, we have a police call for you.
You just said that if you prove that I live here, you would leave.
Yep. So
Okay, I just opened the door to my apartment.
That's fine. I can see that.
Okay, thank you for watching that. Why?
So we can verify who you are, and we'll get out of your hair. How's that? Sound good? It'll be over just like that.
I'm gonna think about whether I want to show that to you or not, because I really don't know if there's a justification for you even actually being in the building. I think when someone...
I didn't hear what you said.
No, I'm trying to decide if I even want to do that because I don't understand the justification for you actually being here. I think when someone mental calls the police for no reason, you guys should just tell them to, go to an institution.
So that was just a 2-minute video. I believe the video is 21 minutes long, and I have actually yet to see the full video. But a few thoughts that come to mind to me. One is that, and I was talking to Mr. Byrd about this, and before I continue, this is a live show, so if you want to call in and just talk about that video or talk about any topic or just say hi, you can always call in. The number is 203-624-8348. Live shows, I love to interact with the viewers who are watching. We're on Facebook Live, we're on TV Live, so please feel free to call in before the show concludes. But there's a few things that come to mind when I see that video. And I want to be honest here, speaking as a young black man, because as you know, Mr. Byrd and I, who was just on the show, who is a young African-American man himself, was talking about what it's like being a black man growing up in America, is we all know that police brutality is real. It's no joke. And police brutality comes in all kinds of shapes and forms. But we all know there's a huge target for African Americans. That's just the truth. That's the facts about it, right? So I feel, in my opinion, even though it's injustice and it's unfair for sometimes police officers to take advantage of their powers or their authority, that if a police officer asks you for your ID and you have your ID, and especially if you are a black American, I think for the situation not to escalate, you should show the police officer your ID. Even if you feel it's injustice or there's no, reason for you to show your ID, if you have your ID, definitely show your ID to a police officer. In my opinion, that would kind of ease the situation, in my opinion, especially as a young black man, right? Second thing is, so this young woman who was actually supposed to be on the show today, and I guess it didn't work out, but hopefully I could try in the near future. This young woman was in a common area, and I guess she was studying and she fell asleep or whatever she was doing. So you have another student who was in this situation was white, called the cops on. So it leads to where do you draw the line in stereotyping or racial profiling? Like, where do you draw the line? Let's say if it was a white guy, let's say if it was an Asian person studying, would that student still call the cops on him or her? And it really begs the question is, how long are we going to continue to see people act and react towards different people just because of the color of their skin, right? Or just because of their gender, right? You could be a female or a male. So that really, kind of bothers me because we're in 2018, and if you think about it, we're having the same issues as far as racial issues that we had in the 50s and the 60s and the 40s, right? So we're having the same issues, and now that we have technology blossoming, we have social media. I was thinking about this the other day, and I really wanted to know somebody thought about this. And I was sitting down and I was on Facebook, and now we have Facebook Live, and you could, interact, and you could catch things on real time. Is social media really helping? Think about that. Is social media really helping the cause of police brutality or any racial issues? Because we have a lot of stuff on video. We catch a lot of stuff on our phones and whatnot, but you see so little being done. So I was contemplating whether, social media is definitely a great platform to have to people to express their opinions, to people to catch things live, but is it actually helping? Is that what we need to move forward to eradicate some of the issues we are having? So that's just a food for thought. And I was thinking to myself, while I was on Facebook, thinking this is, does social media really help? And how can we kind of speed this process up of being more of equality than being divided? Because it's been since 1940s, 50s, and 60s, and now we're in 2018. So we have a lot of catching up to do as far as equality, and as far as justice, and as far as police officers, and as far as pedestrians acting accordingly to different kind of officers. So that was just a food for thought. So before I close, and then, like I said, please call in if you have the time, 203-624-8348. I did not have a show in May. I canceled the show. So my last time you guys saw me on live was actually in April when I was speaking to a NASCAR driver, Tia Forfleet. So things have happened throughout the past month or so. So you all know I'm a huge movie fan. So I saw Avengers, I saw Deadpool, I just saw Ocean 8. I'm looking forward to seeing Sicario, the sequel. Avengers, Infinity War, I give it a solid 8.5. It was pretty good. I never thought that the Hulk would ever get his butt kicked like the way he did, but it was a great movie. I saw it twice. My director, Andrew, he saw it 8 times, which is crazy. But it's not crazy because I saw The Matrix a lot of times as well. So, but 8 times. And then everybody probably kind of can speculate what's going to happen in the second Infinity Part 2, where I guess they're going to go back in time. He has the Time Stone, and Captain Marvel is going to come. And I'm sorry, if you are watching this and you have not seen Avengers yet, then you're not a true fan and you're not going to see in the movie there. So there are some spoilers. Spider-Man dies, Doctor Strange dies, or passes away, Black Panther passes away. All right, I'm sorry, I just had to say that, because if you haven't seen it and we're in June and it came out April, 25th, 26th, then you're not a true fan. But they're saying in the second Avengers, they're going to go back in time, I believe, and I guess it wouldn't be fit if Tony doesn't save the day, so that's why they kept him alive in this one. But what are your thoughts about that? And I saw Ocean 8. So those are the movies I've seen within the past month or so since you haven't seen me on TV. Sports and hockey, I believe the Washingtons, they won the Stanley Cup, which is great. I heard this is the first time in franchise history. And everybody knows in basketball, LeBron James versus the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Golden State Warriors. They got swept. Let me tell you this. When you compare LeBron to MJ and he's getting swept, and I don't want to hear anybody saying, well, nobody could take a team to the finals like LeBron did. Going to the finals should not be the celebration for any athlete. It should be winning. So the fact that we sometimes celebrate LeBron going to the finals so many times, but he's not winning, I don't get the celebration. That's one. Number two, all the LeBron fans out there who thinks he's better than MJ, wake up call. If you switch LeBron and MJ, and MJ went to the finals as many times as LeBron, his record would not be 3-6. I'll tell you that much. It would not be 3-6. That's number two. Number three, yes, I am a LeBron hater, but I did feel bad for him in the finals. I wish he did not, I didn't think he was gonna get swept, right? Number four, we all know JR does drugs and smokes and doesn't pay attention. So actually when he went up and went out to half court instead of going up when there was 5 seconds left, that was actually not surprising for me to see J.R. Smith to do something like that. That's number four. Number five, moving on to Kevin Durant. Okay, People are comparing him now to LeBron and to MJ because he has 2 rings. Let me tell you this. Last time I played a game was Nintendo 64. No, okay, Dreamcast. I'm not a big video game, but Dreamcast was the biggest game system I played last, right? And we used to go online, my friends and I, and go on cheat code, cheat CCC, and we used to think we were the bomb when we were on cheat, right? That's the same as Kevin Durant. He went on a cheat squad, right? So basically, you get no respect and no love from me, right? You have 2 MVP final rings. My camera guy is cracking up over here. We have 2 MVP. He has 2 MVP rings, 2 MVP finals. He went on a team that was 73-9 that were better, not better, but great without him. The fact that he went on that team and he's winning, that proves he's not a competitor, right? So if you want to talk about competitiveness in athletes, I would say Kevin Durant does not have any competitiveness in him because he likes to go on a cheat team, all right? So that's my little, spill for the NBA. Call in. Where do you think LeBron is going to go? Do you think he's going to go to LA? Do you think he's going to go to Sixers? Actually, I just heard a few days ago he may reunite with Kyrie in Boston, right? And that's ironic because Kyrie left Cleveland because he didn't want to play with LeBron. And now I heard it's a chance they may. And I heard, if this happens, I will literally not watch basketball ever. I heard, and this happened months ago, a small rumor that LeBron James' team, his camp, his PR, his agent, could be possibly talking with Golden State. Possibly. If LeBron goes to Golden State, it would be bad for the NBA, I believe, actually. It would actually hurt the NBA. So, but I don't think he's going to go. But I heard there were talks. All right. So that's my spill. I'm glad to be back. You won't see me probably for a couple months because I'm going to go on vacation. CTV is going to go on vacation. Here in CTV, we have people that work diligently and hard 24/7 every year, every day. So they're going to go on a little vacation as well. So you may not see me until the early fall, late summer. Until then, stay safe. You can watch me every Thursdays, 9 p.m. I want to thank all my viewers who continue to watch me every Thursday since day one, or even my new viewers. And thank you, Mr. Byrd, for taking your time and watching my show. Thank you for my crew members. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe. Mike Nice Show.